when you sell, this isn't actually growing your business, but when you sell, don't sell by the seat of your pants. Have some kind of system in place. Take some type of sales training. It's all over the place. There's some really good stuff out there.
Welcome to the Full Disclosure, the mortgage podcast where we talk about what's really going on behind the scenes. I'm your host, Nora Absol, co-founder of Morty, the all-in-one platform for mortgage. Today, I'm very excited to welcome Ron Radziminsky, who joins us after 30 years in the mortgage industry, working both in New York and in California, doing commercial and real estate mortgage, including having his own mortgage company and escrow company that he sold. I'm really excited to chat today. I think there's a lot of cool things that we can learn from you. And so to kick things off, I'd love to start with our rapid fire session where we sort of just get a little loose and get going about some fun things in the industry. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay. Question number one, what's harder, commercial loans or residential loans?
Yeah, commercial loans, definitely.
Who would you call if you needed a mortgage?
Oh my, what type of mortgage?
Residential.
Morty, of course.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
A doctor.
And what industry would you be in today if you weren't in real estate?
Medical industry, I suppose.
And then now for the biggest question, Yankees, Mets, or Dodgers?
I grew up as a Mets fan.
Okay, we won't hold that against you. So Ron, what's your disclosure?
Oh my gosh. I think one of the biggest things that people don't know about the mortgage industry is if you're looking to get into a career, it has so much opportunity, there's so much upside, so much you can do. There's so much that you can sell and get your fingers into. That is, I think a lot of people don't realize that, and it's a great way to go, and you can learn a lot of things very quickly and do very well.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously agree completely. I feel like people think it's so hard, in part because it's so hard to get started. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about how you got started.
Oh my gosh, it was just happenstance. Actually, it was an accident.
I feel like that's a lot of people in mortgage. It's like, I'm not sure how, it's like, you're like, I'm not sure how I got here.
No, it's funny. A joke in my family used to be is, well, if you never can figure anything out, you can just always go into real estate, which is kind of like an insult in a way, but actually there's so much opportunity. It's not really. Actually, I graduated college a long time ago, and when I graduated, I wanted to go to medical school, and I got waitlisted. My grades weren't quite good enough, so I ended up coming out from. I went to school in Ohio, grew up there. I drove out to California for the summer because my mother moved out there when I was in college.
Northern or
And
Southern California?
Southern California in Orange County. And Orange County is known for their mortgage industry. It's a big part of the culture down there, I guess you might say. So, well, anyway, I was waiting tables and having fun that summer. And my one point, my mother said, "Why don't you get your real estate license?" And back then, there was no such thing as SAFE or uh, all the regulations that were in place now.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I got my real estate license and I answered it at a newspaper for a company that was looking for loan officers. Do you want to make extra money, this and this and that? So I ended up walking into an office in Costa Mesa, California, and interviewing with the owner of that company, and got a job and started originating loans, and actually ended up working for that owner through different companies through several decades. So it was just pure luck. And once I started making a little bit of money, it was very, very difficult to get serious about going back to medical school or going to medical school. So that's how I got
If you're good
into
at mortgage and you're great at connecting with people, which I know you are, the everything sort of clicks. How
It
did you learn
does.
how to be so good at sort of talking to your clients and being able to really understand what their needs are?
Um, I'm actually very shy by nature, and so I like to listen. And what happens, just by luck, me just listening to people and being truly interested, you know, people feel comfortable, and they just they want to do business with people that they're comfortable with. So yeah, never really sold before I got on the phones at that time and started taking calls, and applications just kept on piling up. It was a crazy time too. Rates were coming down from 9% into the 8% range for the first time in a long time. And my boss at the time invented what we now call the free closer, no closing cost loans. That didn't exist.
Mm,
We were one of the first companies to roll that out. So that um, was a big deal. People couldn't believe that they could do a loan, not have to pay closing costs.
yeah.
And it was very, very easy at that point in time. And he also did a thing with mobile notaries. Back then, you always went into escrow office to sign loan docs. He was the first one to put notaries on the road. And people come to your house, and we had no application fee. So we had no application fee. You didn't have to pay for it. People came to your house, sign your loan docs. How easy is that to sell? So it was a really easy way to get into the business, and it was kind of a crazy time, fun time.
For the no closing costs, I'm curious, were the costs like folded into the loan, or were you guys really cutting the fundamental costs for the customer?
Well, the way things were structured are a little different back then. You had investors that paid a premium for a slightly higher interest rate. So with
Mm,
that premium, you bump the rate up a little bit, it covers all the closing costs. Yes, they might be paying a little bit higher rate, but they're coming out with nothing out of pocket. And since rates were dropping and people were refinancing frequently,
yeah.
it didn't make sense to pay closing costs if you're going to refinance another year or two.
Yeah.
So it really bode well for the customer.
Yeah, that makes sense. You also mentioned that interest rates were coming down from 9% for the first time. It's kind of it's pretty interesting to think about that in relation to the market today, where interest rates are, still the highest that plenty of people have seen in their lifetime. But if you go back 30, 40 years, interest rates were 8 or 9%. So I'm sort of curious what interest rates and how much they matter when you're thinking about buying a new home.
When buying a new home, it's a good question. With it's a tool to get into your house, of course, and it depends on what state you're in. Obviously, it's easier to refinance in California than in New York, um, but there is that opportunity to always lower your payment. And um, interest rates are important, but not as important as most people think. A 1/4% rate or 0.5% rate or whatever that might be. Yes, you want to get a good deal. That's important. You don't want to overpay for anything. But you do have to understand that you're locking in your housing payment, and you have an opportunity with as the market moves to lower that. So rates being, in the 6% range right now, close to seven, depending. It seems it's high. At
Yeah.
2.5%, it's like holy crow. I can never, how can I sell something that high in rate? But at the end of the day, you're buying a home, you're buying an investment, and you're maneuvering around that with your mortgage. Mortgage is just a tool. It's not set for life. Generally not. And we're a place now where rates are high, and they will come down at some point. And you know, I think probably coming down to maybe four, in the 4% range might be well, is very probable. And if that happens, there's a lot of people what we call are above water.
Yep.
There's a lot of liquidity in that market for prospects to be able to save money and refinance in the future.
Yeah. The point is you have to focus on your life decisions, right?
Exactly.
I'm curious. So, since you've been in the industry for 30 years, I bet you have a couple of clients that you've been working with for about that long. Um, what's the Do you have a client that you've done like an absurd number of mortgages for?
Yes, I've had several. One client's a really good friend and couple, and they own 8 or 9 rental properties. I've probably done 30 or 40 mortgages to them through the years, at least, but there's people that have one property I've done, you know, 4 or 5 mortgage for, or they've gone from one home to another, then refinancing rental properties. So yeah, there's a lot of multiple transactions with people.
Is is each transaction easier, or is it more complex because because their situation has evolved?
No, it's easy. Once you get to know somebody, it's like you don't even have to take an application in a sense. Like, I mean, of course you do, but it's like, what's new? Oh, you've been working your job another year or 2 years, and is this change? Is this change? Is this change? Okay, I'll get you started. Is that okay to run your credit? Yes. Okay, let's go. It's very, very easy. You just got to keep your records.
And what you sort of mentioned this before, but do you feel like it's easier to do loans in California than in New York?
100%.
And is that because
I
of the
don't, I don't under,
wait, is that because of the
yeah.
clients or is that because of the regulations?
No, no, clients are wonderful here. They're very straightforward. Uh, People in New York are wonderful. It's because of the regulations. I cannot get over the way New York mortgages are closed and purchases are closed. Escrow is such an easy way to close and so efficient. So it then also saves a lot of time. And also the I guess the way you approach things is just a little bit more cautiously, maybe in New York. I guess when somebody goes into a home transaction, in California, you just dive right in, escrow. You can always back out. It's very easy if things don't go right, but it just seems like a little more feet first in California.
So, if you were to give one piece of advice to somebody who was entering the mortgage market, just just got licensed to be a loan officer or was thinking about getting licensed to be a loan officer, what piece of advice would you give them to how to around how to build up their business?
I think the thing is just you let everybody know what you do, and you don't have to um, push it so much in people's face, but they just know that you're in that space and you're a go-to person. And it's so important when you close or at a opportune time during the transaction to ask for referral, ask for anybody that you know. I mean, referrals are just gold. Um, you just got to get yourself out there. I mean, it's social media has changed the way marketing works. It's a lot more, if you go that direction, I think people find that the leads aren't as good. It might be more. And I think it's very important to have systems in place. We have so much around us going on. You have to know how to go from one step to the next. And what I mean by that on 2 different levels, you need systems for your marketing, which so you're approaching people the right way and sending the right messages at the right time, and it's consistent. You do the same thing over and over. You personalize it, of course, but you go from one stage to the other. And then the other thing is that when you sell, this isn't actually growing your business, but when you sell, don't sell by the seat of your pants. Have some kind of system in place. Take some type of sales training. It's all over the place. There's some really good stuff out there, and so that you pull people through a process, and it's you can repeat that process. If you find out real quick what doesn't work and what does work, you don't waste their time, you don't waste your time, and you're always going to a next step and an outcome. I just think systems are very, very, very important.
I totally agree. I think that's important for people regardless of what industry they're operating in. If you have to
Exactly.
talk publicly in any type of way, you are essentially, you need to learn how to communicate to somebody and understand what they're trying to get out of it.
Right.
And really being able to connect with the audience matters a ton. So it makes a lot of sense why like sales
Yes.
training should be at the top of people's lists when they're entering
Absolutely.
the mortgage market.
Absolutely.
What advice would you give to somebody who's working in residential mortgage that wants to sort of that wants to move into commercial?
Oh boy. Okay. Well, they are two different animals. Okay. One is making a widget. Residential mortgages, you have very specific things you have to fulfill. You just got to put them in motion, and there's a little bit of wiggle room. Fannie and Freddie gives gives you underwriters to, take liberty to do certain things. Commercial generally is a storytelling industry. You have to build the story, pull facts together. You got to look at the property. You got to look at income a little differently. Um, and you have to put that together so you have an investor that opens up an email or opens up a file and can digest it very quickly and you can generate interest the right way. So if you like doing a lot of research and kind of everything being different every time and putting together a story, and it's a little more lucrative, usually larger loans, and sometimes the costs are a little higher because there's a lot more work put into it, but it's fun in a different way. So I think it's good to um, have a swivel pivot so that when market conditions aren't quite right, you can fall back onto certain skills
Yeah.
and go in a certain direction, which is something I did as rates rose over the last couple of years, and now it looks like things are settling back down, and I'm feeling more comfortable about where the residential market's going, and I'm digging back into that. I actually enjoy that a lot more. I like numbers. I like volume. I like, it's exciting. With commercially, there's only so much you can work on at one point without a really, really, large team working behind you. So if you wanted commercial, I think it's something that you um, should have in your back pocket. But pick out what I would do is I would pick out a very few investors, lenders, sources where you're getting their money.
Yeah.
Just learn and just sell a couple things. Don't go crazy and trying to go the gamut. You'll end up getting yourself. You'll just end up stubbing your toe a lot.
I feel like
So you got to be careful.
I feel like the common thread in all the advice that you've given today is like start simple, know your audience, and then iterate
Right.
and grow.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which is like really
Exactly.
smart. Makes total
Exactly.
sense.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's just that you get good at one thing, duplicate it and make it as easy as you can, and then try to grow with that. Um, when my old boss, we used to when we used to do mortgages, and we used to do 30-year mortgages and 20-year mortgages and 15-year mortgages. And people used to say, well, why don't you do adjustable? And he used to go, well, let's put it this way. We make a lot of ice cream and we only make vanilla ice cream, and we're good at it. So let's stick with what we're good at. And it's a good way to look at things. And when times, when vanilla ice cream is not maybe in demand, sometimes you have to look at other directions. But look at the landscape and figure out what's the best way to move forward with what's out there. So
And what's your favorite ice cream flavor?
chocolate chip.
Awesome.
So
Cool, Ron. Well, this was great. It was really fun chatting with you, and
yeah.
and I super appreciate you joining us, sharing some insights that you've gained over the past 30 years, and really helping teaching lots of new folks who are joining the industry, how they can get going.
No problem. It was great meeting you, Nora. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's a wrap for today. Thanks for joining us. And remember to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another episode. And remember, you can't close if you don't disclose.